Welcome back to Revise and Resubmit, the podcast that takes, those really dense academic papers and makes them surprisingly interesting. I'm Pavlov.
And I'm Nikita.
The learner, welcome back. It's actually coming to you as a summary from the fourth session's paper readings.
That's right, from the Virtual Summer School in Entrepreneurship Research 2025.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing this is the fifth year already. Can you believe it? Started back in 2021, this no-fee summer school.
It's a fantastic initiative, 5 sessions in total, each covering 4 papers, sometimes even book reviews.
We really should give a big thank you to Professor Vishal K. Gupta and PhD candidate Athena Skiaropoulou. They're both from the University of Alabama.
Absolutely, for spearheading this whole thing. It's quite unique.
So for this session, we're diving into funding.
Right.
Crucial topic for any entrepreneur.
Exactly. We've got some really interesting recent studies looking at how ventures actually get those resources they need. Different angles.
Okay, let's unpack this then, starting with something pretty fundamental, I suppose. It's not just about having a brilliant idea, is it?
Not at all. Allison and colleagues, they had a paper in 2022.
Right. Journal of Business Venturing.
Yeah. They argue funders, they're looking for this combination, passion and preparedness.
Okay, passion and preparedness. Tell me more.
Well, the key idea is they aren't just separate things. They actually sort of boost each other, in the funder's eyes.
I see. So passion shows the drive, the motivation, that fire in the belly people talk about.
Exactly. But then preparedness, that shows you've got the skills, the plan. You can actually do something with that fire.
Right, not just enthusiasm. And the research suggests when funders see both.
It's a much stronger signal, much more positive. Like, if you're super passionate, but you also have a solid plan, that passion suddenly seems, credible, investable.
Makes sense. And the other way around. Prepared, but maybe not overtly effusive.
If you're really well prepared, but you also show genuine enthusiasm, it signals you're not just ticking boxes. You believe in it.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, you're saying.
Yeah, for you, the learner, listen to this. Allison et al. Found that when both are clear, it sends this powerful message. This entrepreneur isn't just dreaming, they can actually make it happen.
And that boosts funding chances significantly.
Exactly. So like you said, excitement isn't enough on its own. Being prepared makes that excitement really hit home for investors.
Okay, fascinating start. Now let's shift gears a bit. Crowdfunding. That's a whole different world almost.
It really is. And this brings us to a 2024 study by Felnhofer and Deng. This one's in entrepreneurship theory and practice.
And they're looking at intuition and gender in crowdfunding investment decisions.
Precisely. You know how crowdfunding usually works online platforms, video pitches, trying to get backers?
Yeah.
And what's interesting is, we hear a lot about the gender gap in traditional VC funding. Women often face more hurdles.
Right, but in crowdfunding.
Especially reward-based crowdfunding, women tend to do as well, sometimes even better than men. So there's a puzzle there.
So Felnhofer and Deng wanted to dig into that, see what's going on.
Exactly. They ran 3 web-based experiments, randomized controlled ones, got a lot of people involved, over 2,900 subjects in total.
Wow. And the main question.
Does the investor's intuition, their gut feeling, and the pitch's gender affect whether people are willing to invest?
How do they measure intuition? That sounds tricky.
Good question. They did it in 2 main ways. First, they used a standard questionnaire, the REI Rational Experiential Inventory. Basically asks how much you rely on gut feelings versus analysis.
Okay, self-report. And the second way?
That was in the 3rd study, and it was behavioral. Really clever, actually. They showed people 32 real crowdfunding pitches, and they had to decide really fast within 4 seconds invest or not.
4 seconds. That's pure gut reaction territory.
Pretty much. And crucially, half the pitches had women presented as the founders, half had men. But, and this is important, they also switched the founder images for a control group.
So they could isolate the effect of the perceived gender separate from the actual business idea.
Exactly. Controlling for those confounding factors, any potential biases tied to the pitch itself.
So were those snap judgments influenced by whether the pitcher looked male or female?
Well, here's the key finding, quite intriguing for you, the learner. They found that intuition, whether measured by the questionnaire or by those super fast decisions, actually seemed to level the playing field.
Level the playing field? How so?
It seemed to facilitate more gender equality in accessing crowdfunding. When people relied on that quick, intuitive judgment, the gender bias seemed to decrease.
Really? So intuition wasn't necessarily tied to stereotyping here?
That's what the researchers suggest. Whether it's heuristic intuition or more expert-based intuition, in this specific crowdfunding context, it didn't seem to amplify negative gender stereotypes, maybe even counteracted them.
Huh. That's quite counterintuitive in a way. In this newer financial space, gut feeling might actually be promoting more equality.
It's a really significant finding, yeah. Now, staying with crowdfunding, but looking at it differently. Let's turn to Murati and colleagues. Another 2024 paper, this one in the Journal of the Academy of Marketing Science. They looked at signals.
Signals, like what the campaign communicates.
Exactly. Crowdfunding campaigns, they have that limited time window, right? So how they influence backers quickly is key.
Makes sense.
They use signaling theory as a framework. The basic idea is entrepreneurs send out cue signals about their venture's quality to convince people.
Okay. And Murati et al. Looked at what kinds of signals?
They focus on two main types. Rhetorical signals, that's all about the language used in the pitch, and substantive signals, which here means the support they've already gotten from other backers, like social proof.
Got it. Let's focus on the language, the rhetorical signals. What did they look at specifically?
They broke it down into four things. First, emotional tone, positive, effective language.
Okay.
Second, cognitive tone, more rational, intellectual language. Third, communal language stuff that emphasizes we're in this together, collective effort.
Right, building community.
And fourth, linguistic style match, which is basically how similar the campaign's language is to other successful campaigns on that platform, kind of fitting in.
How on earth do you measure all that across loads of campaigns?
Yeah. They used a tool called LIWC, Linguistic Inquiry, and Word Count. It's like a sophisticated word counter that categorizes words to gauge tone and style.
Language detective.
Sort of. And they combined that with something called functional data analysis, FDA.
FBA.
Yeah, it's a statistical technique that lets you see how the impact of these signals changes over the course of the campaign, not just an overall average.
So timing matters.
Critically, they looked at over 1,200 Kickstarter projects.
Whoa. Okay, so what did they find? Did the language matter?
It definitely did. All four of those rhetorical signals were positively related to getting more funding.
Like how is it, but?
The timing was key. Emotional and cognitive tone. They had a stronger effect early on.
Right. Grab attention, make the case quickly. That feels right. Does the research suggest why?
The thinking is that early on, backers are maybe more swayed by that initial excitement or just clearly understanding the core idea or problem.
Okay. What about the other two? Communal language and style match.
Those became more important later in the campaign.
So once it gets going, fitting in and building that sense of community becomes more crucial.
Seems like it. As momentum builds, maybe people look for signs that this is a real project, part of the platform's ecosystem, something others are rallying around. Oh, and one more thing. The impact of all these language signals got stronger as the number of backers increased.
Interesting. So the crowd itself amplifies the effect of the language. If we connect this to the bigger picture, for you, the learner.
It means your communication strategy can't just be static, right? You need to think about when you're saying things. Early on, maybe more emotion, more clear logic. Later, maybe emphasize community, show you fit in, adapt as you go.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, one more study to cover, shifting context again.
Completely. We're moving away from crowdfunding now into pro-social microlending. This is Allison et al. Again, but an earlier paper from 2015 also in ETMP.
Pro-social microlending, like Kiva, where people lend small amounts, often for social impact.
Exactly like Kiva. And here, they're asking how framing the entrepreneur's story affects fundraising. Is it better to frame it as a business opportunity or as a chance to help someone?
Okay, interesting comparison. What theory are they using?
They draw on cognitive evaluation theory. The gist is that people are more intrinsically motivated, driven from within when they feel competent and autonomous. The way you frame something can tap into that.
And they looked at Kiva data.
A lot of it. Over 36,000 microloans across 51 countries. Massive data set.
And the core finding, business frame or helping frame?
The helping frame won out. Lenders responded much more positively to narratives emphasizing the chance to help others, what the researchers call intrinsic cues.
And less positively to the business-focused narratives.
Right. Those were termed extrinsic cues, focusing more on financial success or the business itself. They just didn't resonate as strongly in this context.
Did they look at the specific language again, like in the Marathi study?
They did. They operationalized intrinsic cues by looking for things like human interest language words about family, friends, and also diversity language.
Okay.
And they found these intrinsic cues had a significantly stronger positive effect on getting funded compared to the extrinsic business-focused ones.
So for you, the learner, in this specific pro-social context, focusing purely on the business case might actually be less effective.
That's what this research strongly suggests. It really raises that question. What motivates people on these platforms? It seems the desire to make a social impact, that direct human connection.
It's often the primary driver, maybe more so than potential returns, even if it's technically a loan.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so 4 quite different studies, but all circling around funding. What's the big takeaway here for you, the learner?
Well, I think it really hammers home that getting funding is complex. It's multifaceted. It's definitely not just about having a killer idea.
No, it seems it's so much about communication, about understanding who you're talking to, the funders, their motivations, the context.
Absolutely. That first study, Allison 22, shows you need both the passion and the plan. Show the drive, but also show you can deliver. They reinforce each other.
And then in crowdfunding, well, language is obviously key, but how you use it changes. That Marathi study showed the need to adapt your message over time.
Right. Emotional appeals early, maybe more community focused later. And the Fellenhofer study adds that really interesting layer about intuition and how it might, maybe surprisingly, help level the gender playing field in that online space.
Yeah, that intuition finding is one to chew on. And finally, the Allison 15 study on microlending.
A powerful reminder that context is everything. In pro-social settings, tapping into that intrinsic desire to help can be way more effective than just talking business. Understand the why behind the money.
So whether you're out there seeking funds, or maybe you're evaluating ventures yourself, or even if you're just curious, these insights, passion, preparedness, language, nuances, motivations, they should really shape how you approach things.
Definitely. This deep dive just gives a glimpse, really, into the kind of rigorous work being done in entrepreneurship research. Always more to learn.
For sure. And maybe one final thought for you. The learner to ponder. With AI getting so much better at analyzing language, predicting behavior, how is that going to change these funding dynamics we've just talked about? Will it refine them, disrupt them entirely?
Ooh, that is something to think about. The future of funding signals, perhaps.
Definitely food for thought. And don't forget to subscribe to Revise and Resubmit on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you're enjoying the show and want to support us in creating more insightful content, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. Every contribution helps us continue this journey of exploration and discovery. Until next time, keep those minds curious, keep questioning, and keep revising and resubmitting.